Hey Adorners, I'm Briony Kennedy and today I'm going to show you a winter inspired look. So of course, prep your skin like you would normally, make sure it's cleansed. I've got a serum on and I have also got the primer on. And of course, if you would like to, for extra hydration or for dewy complexion, definitely pop on one of the facial oils. It locks in all the hydration and moisture from your moisturizers and it will give a beautiful, dewy, youthful appearance to your foundation. Now, I'm going to just quickly pop on a little bit of the primer and get started. Okay, done. Now what I'm going to do now is use the medium olive stick foundation. I'm using the stick foundation because I feel like my skin's a little bit dehydrated today and I want that really beautiful skin-like dewy appearance. Now that I've finished with the hydrating cream stick on my face, I'm going to do my eyebrows. I like to do my eyebrows before anything else just to avoid any of the fallout getting onto concealer. So I will do my eyebrows now and then concealer underneath my eyes. Now with our eyebrows, you can use one of two brushes. We have two angle brushes, one in the white 15-piece brush kit, and of course we've also got these angle brushes sold singularly, and they also come in our 7-piece brush kit. So select a brow dust that's suitable for you, or you may even like to use the brown wind-up pencil if that's suitable for your skin tone. So let's get started. So you can see that's given some really nice definition. It's filled in some gaps. The brow dusts are water resistant, which are fantastic. And of course you can use them as eyeliner or eyeshadow. So everything's multi-purpose at Adorn, which is fabulous. Now, if you want a really super defined brow, you can also wet your angle brush and you will get a darker look. So dry brush, it'll be a little bit softer looking. A wet brush will give more definition to the brow. Okay, once I've finished my brows, I always run the comb through my brows. The reason for that is that it separates the brow hairs and it also just helps to separate the brow dust, giving more of a hair-like appearance. So you just run that through your brows. It's also good to do before you put your brow dust on as well. Okay, before we move on to concealer or the rest of the face, grab one of your large Adorn brushes, sweep away any fallout that may have come onto this area, as we don't want that to mix in with your concealer, making your under eye circles possibly look darker. Okay, so let's get started with the eyes. I really love to use the Eye Prime Prep and Blend. Okay, so it's a beautiful creamy consistency. It's a little bit lighter than a concealer, but what it does is it helps to eliminate the look of the veins, so the blue or red sort of veins that we've got on the eyelid. And it gives a really nice base to work with. So it helps also to give that purity and the real look of that eyeshadow color that you're selecting. If you use an eyeshadow and pop it straight on the eyelid, that's totally fine, but the eyelid being quite discolored with the various different veins will distort the color of your eyeshadow. So using the Eye Prep and Blend will actually help to increase the intensity of your eyeshadow, so it'll be much more bolder, but it'll also give a really true eyeshadow color. Okay, so now that the prep and blend has been placed on the eyes, I'm going to start with my winter eye look. So the colors that I'm using today are Jasper and Pink Pearl. They're such beautiful, pretty colors. They're really easy to blend. And I'm just going to show you a really quick way of what I like to do to create a classic eye. So it's the traditional C that I do in the corner of my eye, and then I use the complementary color in the ball of the eye to give a little bit of pop of color. All right, so popping on the Jasper, I am going to use the number 8 brush in the brush kit. So what I'm working towards is a C in the crease of the eye back down to the eyelid. So all you need to do is just follow the crease of the eye and then head back. Now we don't want eyeshadow past the eyebrow or the edge of the eye. If you do that, I'll show you how to correct that at the very end. So don't panic, but we don't want to end up with eyeshadow below that area or it will create a droopy looking eye. Now, don't worry about blending so much at this stage because I'm going to show you how the next eyeshadow will self-blend all of that and how we'll get rid of this look up the top here. We want it to be seamless. We don't want to see any edging, but I'd like to just show you how messy it kind of looks while you're in between popping on the different colors. So leave this once you're happy with the intensity and the placement of the eyeshadow. I'll show you a trick to how to actually blend that at the end. Also, another tip when you're doing your eyes is try not to lift your eyes up when you're doing it. It looks very different to when you're relaxed. You should put your eyeshadow on when your eyes are relaxed because that's how people are going to see your eyes when you're just looking around normally. You're not going to be walking around like this, okay? So first of all, get the placement on with relaxed eyes and then you can blend away any of that excess at the end with the next tip that I'm going to show you. Now, a tip for looking like you've got larger eyes, especially for those of you that have more of a hooded eye, the placement of this darker eyeshadow needs to be more focused around the midsection of your eye. So you want to make sure that your C is quite rounded and goes right to this center part of the eye, or it's almost the edge of the iris. So you want to make sure this area is quite high, not low and out here. Okay, so you could create your eyeshadow more like quite a sharp C, or if you apply it more to this middle area, you're going to create the illusion of height, which is also going to help minimize the look of that excess skin that's just here as well. So there's a little tip for those of you that have a hooded eye. For those of you that have quite close set eyes and you want them to look further set, then what you might like to do is make sure that this color just elongates a little bit out or blends out towards the eyebrow. So you're just creating more of that sort of cat's eye, creating the illusion that the eyes are a little bit further set apart. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is a two-step process to get these colors really blended beautifully and to also add in my second complementary color. So I'm going to use the pink pearl now, and I'm going to use a flat brush to pop that on. You could use the number 7 brush, and all you need to do is just pop a little bit on. It's a flat brush, and we're just going to place this over the ball of the eye, slightly onto the jasper color. Right into the corner. And you can see that that's effortlessly blended the color, the jasper away, and as opposed to leaving it like this. Okay, so you can still see it's quite, it's not blended nicely there, where this particular color, popping it over the top, has gotten rid of me needing to blend. It's actually self-blended by just applying that eyeshadow over the top. So the pink pearl on this side, again, placing the lighter shade over the darker shade for this particular technique will just help to self-blend the eyeshadow. So it's great for those of you that are not particularly great at eyeshadow blending. Popping the lighter shade over the top of the darker is a really unique way of getting the shadows to blend together without much effort on your behalf. Okay, so now I'm going to just grab the big brush that I started with. Okay, and I always like to keep this one, which is the number 4. I always like to keep this one clean, okay? And when I say clean, I use it as my blending brush at the end. Now, if you want to, you could put a little bit of the base or the nude eyeshadow. You could put a little bit of the oil control on there if you wanted to as well, just to help blending. But I just keep this brush just naked. I don't pop any products on there. There's a little bit of dust, obviously, from me using it for under my eyes before. This is the brush that I put the oil control setting powder on to help conceal or help lock in the concealer. But this particular brush is great to have just to get rid of this blending line here. So we don't want to see where the eyeshadow starts and finishes. So having a clean brush is my tip to blending away that line. So all you need to do is just very gently tickle the edge of that eyeshadow color to erase it and self-blend into the eyelid area. Now, a bigger brush like this just is super gentle, and it really blends very, very easily and effortlessly. You can see that that has blended my eyeshadow perfectly, and this one still has a little bit of a line to blend away. It's also great if you feel that you've been a bit too heavy-handed. You could actually just tone the whole color down as well by just gently sweeping over the top. That's fine as well. But basically, when you're doing your eyes, you shouldn't need to blend with the actual applicator brush that you use to put the darker color on. Use this more for placement of the eyeshadow, and when you're happy with the placement, make sure you've put a little bit more color on than you're comfortable with, because when you come to this part, which is the very end, this is going to blend away any of the excess, and it will blend away any of the lines, showing that visual difference between the two. You want it to be really nice and gradual like that. Now, you might like to just leave your eyes here and put on your mascara and your lash primer. That's completely fine, or for super definition, or to enhance the look of your lashes so that they look thicker and longer, you might like to add in some eyeliner. Now, you could use a skinny eyeliner, but in this instance, I'm using the Smoky Quartz Crayon. So the mineral crayon is a beautiful, soft product that you could use just directly onto the eye, or you could use your angle brush and just tickle it along the edge to make a thin line. So I like to just put a little bit on the corner of my eye to give height. So I'm just focusing on this outer quarter right up to the iris area there. So I haven't placed any product in here. I've just focused on the outer corner. It's given height to the eyes, and it will make my lashes look thicker and more dense. So once I've done my eyes, I know that my skin's had a chance to absorb a little bit of the foundation or make the foundation look a little bit more skin-like. And at the same time, it gives me an opportunity to see at this point if I need any extra coverage anywhere else. So rather than putting too much coverage on at the beginning that I may not need, and my goal is always to still look like I've got skin rather than foundation, is to now put a little bit of concealer on to spot treat where I might need a bit more. Now for me, it's definitely around the nose area. So I get quite veiny, or I've got little broken capillaries and veins. So I like to put a bit of concealer around my nose, and I do like to pay particular attention to the corners of my nose here as well, because we can be quite veiny in those areas. Make sure you don't use a concealer that's too light, or it will make those areas look bigger. So if large pores, veins and things like that, you want to hide them, make sure the concealer is exactly the same color as your foundation. So a little bit here where I have some discoloration on my chin. And just blending around my nose. Now I've got a little bit of psoriasis here. I'm going to cover that. A little bit of pigment here, which I'm going to blend away with this concealer, which is the medium olive. Now you could use a brush if you wanted to, but for me, I just like to use my fingers. Okay, so that was the medium olive concealer that I used. It's more of a yellow based concealer. You could definitely try a little swatch to make sure what color matches your skin tone. Okay, so the fun part is to get the skin looking really youthful now, or healthy and dewy. And the way we do that is to add some dimension to the skin and some warmth. So one of my favorite products, of course, is the Mineral Contour Stick. You can use this as a bronzer. You can use it, of course, to contour. It's a beautiful eyeshadow color as well. So it's really complementary to most skin types. And what I like to do is just pop a little bit along the hairline here. So just enough that you can blend it back into the hairline. And this is going to give some warmth to the forehead. And then I like to put a little bit underneath my cheekbones. Okay, when things look darker, they look smaller, which will make my cheekbones look bigger. Now you could put this down the side of your nose and all of that if you'd like, but for me, I'm not a big fan of over contouring the face. I just like to put a little bit around my cheekbones, because I'll blend that up onto it a little bit around my forehead. It just gives some warmth to the skin, and that's really what I'm after. I'm not after spending half an hour in front of a mirror to contour my face. Now I'm using this with the kabuki brush, and as I said before, I'm blending up onto the cheekbone. I want most of the depth of color here, but I'm blending it up onto the cheekbone so that it looks like it's graduated. The color looks like it's effortlessly graduated, like it really is natural warmth to the skin. We don't want to keep the product just in one line. It looks obvious, and it looks like you've just got this really hollow looking cheekbone here. We want to graduate that color back onto the cheekbone. Now, very light flicks with the kabuki brush. I'm not spending, or I'm not pressing too hard. Now, if you've gone too heavy-handed or you can't seem to effortlessly blend this, don't panic, because all you'll need to do is grab your oil control setting powder at the end, and you'll be able to tone it down with that at the very end. So just get the overall coverage, the depth to a point that you're happy with, and then you can tone that down with the oil control setting powder. Okay, so none of the Adorn products you should need to remove and start again. So now just blending this back into my hairline. And you can see that's given a really nice sun-kissed, warm appearance. It's really warmed up the foundation, and I really find that if you just wear foundation, it can be quite flat. It makes the face look quite one-dimensional. We're adding in the contour stick or a bronzer will just give a little bit more warmth to the skin, more dimensions to the skin, and of course make it look more youthful, hydrated, dewy, and healthy. So now what I like to do is pop on my blush, and the color that I'm going to use today is the Winter Blush. It's such a beautiful natural color. You could use it on your lips. Again, it's a good eyeshadow color, but it's fabulous on the cheeks. So a little tip from me, you could definitely use a brush to put this on, but what I like to do is grab a little bit on my finger, pop it on this part of the base of my thumb, rub it together like this, and then pop it on the cheeks. Just try to place it about here and blend up if you're trying to create the illusion of a really nice lifted look. If your face is quite round, then you might want to bring the blush down a little bit further. But if you've got a thinner face like me, or your face is quite drawn, you want to create lift, then pop it on the apples of the cheeks and blend around the apples and up into the temples. Now, I love using highlighters or illuminizers. I think they're just the icing on the cake when it comes to your makeup application. They make things look healthy. They can make things look bigger. So for me, I really like to pop this on the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, the forehead. You could even use this as an eyeshadow color. You can pop it on the peaks of your lip area here as well, so it makes the lips look a little bit more enhanced. So this is a beautiful cream highlighter. It is absolutely divine, and it makes the skin look super healthy. So just popping this on the cheeks will give a little bit of a lift, and of course just along the forehead area. Lash primer to lengthen and thicken the lashes, of course. And I just focus this particular product on the outer corners of my eyes because that's where I want more thickness and length for my eyelashes. Now I'm going to pop on the mascara in a brown. It's obviously the Hello Lashes. You might like to use the waterproof mascara, but I hate doing this on video, so I'll be back in one just sec. And I'm back with eyelashes. Okay, now that I've done my eyelashes, and you can see that that lash primer's really given that extra oomph to the outside of my eyes. It's given that beautiful open look to the eyes. I'm now going to move on to my lips. So to keep in the winter theme, I'm going with some really dark plum colors, which are absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to show you a little ombre technique that I like to use just to make the lips look a little bit more voluminous, but also just something a little bit fun and funky. All right, so I'm using the Audrey lipstick in the Style Icon range. Now, if you struggle with lipstick staying put, the best thing to do would be to remove the soothing barrier balm that you had on first. Just make sure you remove any of the excess that might be left. If your lips are still quite dry, then leave it on. Okay, so what I like to do now is I've got the Audrey on. I'm just going to kiss off any excess on the center part of my mouth, okay? I'm just getting rid of that extra moisture from there, and I'm now going to create that ombre look that I was talking to you about a second ago, and that is by using the Rustic Mocha in the center of my lips. I love using two lip colors. When you've got lighter lips in the middle, it draws attention to your pout and makes your lips look bigger. Okay, so now I've got that ever so lightly lighter look to the pout. It just makes my lips instantly look bigger. Now, if you want to take this look a little bit more vampy and you want to ramp it up and you really want to create that impact or make your lips look even bigger, then I'm going to pop on the Naomi gloss over the top. It will still slightly be lighter underneath because you put the rustic mocha on first, but this just takes it to a whole new level. I love our glosses. They're just so not sticky. Okay, so there's my winter inspired look. It's simple, it's really easy. So you pull out the bits that you don't want to do, add the bits that you want to. You don't need to use every product that I've used in here, but there is of course a list on the products that I've used, so you can add those to your cart if you're wanting to recreate this look. Now, if you feel at this point that you are feeling a little bit too dewy, or you've got oil control that you would like to set down, just grab one of your larger brushes out of the 15-piece brush kit. Just grab a little bit of oil control setting powder, blend that into the lid so it's only a little light dusting, and just dust that down the T-zone. As I mentioned at the beginning of the tutorial, if you've gone a little bit heavy with your contour or your blush, if you just sweep a little bit over the top, it will tone that down for you. So there you have my winter inspired look. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope that more importantly you've picked out some tips and tricks on various different things that you can incorporate into your winter routine.